for one more person.
Okay. It is live.
Okay, we're live right now, right?
Correct. Yep, we are live.
Okay, so do you just want us to commence?
Sure. Yeah, it's up to you.
Okay. So I'll just go straight and give you an overview of this week's reading. By doing so, I hope someone, the rest of the group will join us before I kind of go through all the review. So this week, we kind of had a reading on a workplace safety at Aqua. I hope that is how to call it. And he just kind of talked about the mission of Aqua Safety Plan for the year 1992 at one of their branches, which was the Mission Valley branch. The Mission Valley branch seems to be nationally doing well compared to other industries in the US. They kind of talked about their safety to have raised from 8.65 to 5.45 serious injury per 200,000 work hours. That was during the time between I think that was as of May 1991. And although that was a very great improvement, but it still didn't meet the benchmark that is set for themselves, which was 1.08. So they had some new manager that wanted to like improve that process, and that was the CEO of Aqua, Paul O'Neill. He kind of still talked about safety, that the company still needs to like improve more on safety. And of course, we know what they produce. They produce the mine and refine bauxite into aluminium, and so that's kind of, it's kind of a very dangerous work setting because it requires a lot of heat and temperature and a lot of falling at work and all that. So they are deliberating on their 1992, I believe, safety measures, and then they are looking through the process that would enable them to increase their effectiveness to meet up with the benchmark that is set. So, and they are under the pressure of kind of working on profitability as well as giving out A+ quality. So that is a serious dilemma. Welcome, Stephanie. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so so this week we'll just be deliberating on that and kind of talking about this about their safety process and strategies. And so the first question that I will ask is, should Stepancic, I don't know if that is the right way to call his name, Stepancic, is he supposed to be fired? So if you are going to be, just imagine yourself that you are Martin and you are going to be meeting later that day with Trevin and Harris to talk about Stepancic. Do you think Stepancic should be fired? Does anyone want to take a stab at that?
I feel like they can make a statement somewhere if it's like blatantly not following the standard operating procedures and safety protocols that they have in place, then I mean they've already done a written warning for him, I believe. Is that correct? And so
Yeah.
this is kind of like the second time he's done this.
Hmm. Yeah, that is correct.
So I feel like I mean they probably should.
Yeah. Does anyone else have something
Um,
like some objection to that?
I also think that he should probably get fired. I don't want to be mean, but if they're trying to give a message that they are very serious about safety issues and he didn't follow procedures, they would be giving the right message by firing him, saying, you know what, we really want you to follow these procedures that we've established, and if you don't, you'll get fired too. And well, maybe that's it.
Yeah, that's right. So, but do you guys think it's just Stepan's fault? Is he the only one that is at fault in the situation that happened?
I guess would Olson, yeah, Carl Olson could have, said no, I'm not going to do it. That's against our safety regulations. But that means that he would have to, go against his boss, and that's pretty hard to do. And I don't think that like it is Olson's responsibility, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think he should have to try and step up and be more safe than their boss. So I think he should be fired. Yes.
Yeah, I think that is a very good point you raised right there because I mean he knew that the situation would put him in danger, which I believe he has a lot of experience working there, and so he could have just said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that except we have the necessary safety conditions in place," and so that is also some fault on the part of Austin. So what message do you guys think that firing Stepansic will actually pass to every other manager and workers?
That
They'll probably,
everyone is
oh, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
They'll probably understand how serious the company is about people following the procedures and how they treat safety issues so seriously. They will probably learn that they are indeed very serious about the topic.
Yeah, that's right. Any other one?
yeah, I agree with Stephanie. I mean I feel like they need to take a strong stance in saying that no one is above the standard operating procedures and safety protocols that they have in place. And so, yeah, by taking a stance, even though he's a supervisor, maybe especially because he's a supervisor, is really important.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we remember in the reading that it was mentioned that Stepansic is actually very influential in some form because his families are like great Aquan and they've always been working in
Uh-huh.
that company. So do you think it might have any implication, like maybe people kind of trying to rebel, or I don't know, if they fire him, do you think that might affect their productivity?
Initially, there might be some kickback, but I mean, in the long run, I think there's studies and stuff that I think we'll talk about it in this discussion, but where as you focus on safety, productivity actually goes up.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's right. Any other um, contribution or suggestion before we move on?
Well, I think while there may be a few people, I think for the most part, people would realize the message. Hey, safety is important. They're willing to fire somebody who's been, working here for a long time. Their family's been working here for a long time. I think while there may be a few people that wouldn't be happy with it, I think it would definitely be a positive thing.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, sorry. And also in the reading, there's like some people that think about the safety procedures as something that is silly or something that they shouldn't do because they've been working there for so many years and doing these things in a certain way and they are already used to it. So they think, why to follow these new procedures? that if they see what would happen to this guy, Stepansik or however it's said, then they would probably be like, okay, he's a lot of years here and they fired him, so maybe yeah, I should start following these procedures they've set.
Yeah, I think that is very true. They have that tradition, like old tradition, that kind of made them feel like, oh, we're Hakwans, we're great people, we want to sweat like our forefathers did. But now there's OSHA, which kind of have a lot of regulation as of the safety requirements for every workplace. And so whatever your grandfathers might have done might not necessarily be applicable now, because we want you to be safe. We want the productivity to increase as safety also increases. Thank you for your contributions, guys. I'll take us to the next step. We're going to do this activity for like roughly 15 minutes, or as soon as you are ready, you can just tell me, and we can take the data. So we're just going to evaluate the data that we have in the exhibits. So I think we are, how many are we right now? Yeah, we have like 4 people right now. So let's just, I'll just divide you guys into 3 groups. So each person will actually take each group. So Stephanie, if you want to compare exhibit 3 and 4, if you want to compare exhibit 3 and 4, and here are the questions you are going to answer. So
Okay.
when safety improves, does productivity decrease? That is your first question. And then you have to be, by comparing the data, you need to explain the relationship between safety and productivity at Mission Valley. Is that clear?
There's
Do you want me
there's
to go? Do you want me to
there's
go over there?
data at Exhibit 3,
Yes. So
but there's
data.
no data at Exhibit 4. We have like
No, it's just data in exhibit 3 and 7. Did I say 3 and 4?
I think
Uh,
so. But that's
yeah,
fine. Yeah.
sorry.
yeah, it's just data in exhibit 3 and 7.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Can you see it? So you will see the smithing, the ingot, the rolling, the fabrication, the miscellaneous. And then in exhibit 7, you just see serious injuries by production departments. So your role is to compare the different years from 1987 through 1991 and see if there's any improvement there. And here is the hint for doing that. So divide the total hours number of each period by the work total. So you divide the total hours of each period by the work total for the same period. So that is for the year. For example, in 1987, if you are looking at the data right now, it
Yes.
was okay. So in 1987, you will see that the total hour worked was
Mhm.
7,400, and so you want to divide
Yes.
that by the work total, which was 185.4, and that will give like 39.9 hours per ton. And
Okay.
then to compare the other data, um, you should know that the lower the number of safety incidences, the better. So when you have lower numbers, that is better. So every
That's good.
lower number
Okay.
is better. Good. So if both numbers go down, that is good. If either number is going up, that is bad. So if both numbers are reducing for safety and then for productivity, and it's going down, that is good. But then if both numbers go up, that is bad. Well, so which means there's more incidents and there's higher productivity. That is very bad.
Okay.
So what we are looking for is lower incidents and then higher productivity.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So you take some time to work on that, and then you give us your
Okay.
report once you are ready. So group 2, I'm going to put John. Would you like to take a stab at that?
Sure. Exhibit 5.
Okay. So here is what you are going to do. You look at Exhibit 5, and then you want to know if injury number are improving, that is going down, or if they are going up. So look at Exhibit 5, check if injury numbers are going down or if they are going up. Then categorize the types of injury that are improving and compare it with those that are not improving. And then explain your findings to the team. So does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, are you clear on that, John?
I am. Can you hear me?
Okay, all right. So I'll just give the last one to you, Forex.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to look at Exhibit 6, and then you go through the list of sample injuries, and then look for common themes or causes. Just look for common causes, and then what can you learn about safety at the plants at Mission Valley from the list that you're examining, and then explain your findings to the team. So look through Exhibit 6, find the sample of the injuries, find the common causes of the injury, and then what does the common causes of the injury tells you about Mission Valley safety, and then explain it to the group.
Perfect. Got it.
All right, great. Does anyone have a question? Stephanie, I think we can work on yours together.
Yeah, I'm already quite like finishing this, so
Oh, great. Okay,
yeah.
great. Does anyone needs help with any of the data?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, great.
I'm good too. Got it.
Good, thanks.
All right. So once anyone is ready with your report, we can just go ahead with it. But we have about 10 minutes to work on it, so no pressures.
I'm ready whenever everybody else is.
Okay, great. Let's just wait for every other person so we can take it like as assigned.
Sure.
Oh,
Great.
okay.
Okay.
You said we're waiting for everybody to get done, and then we're gonna go in order.
Yeah. But we can start if you. But I was just thinking it would be good for you to also be able to pay attention while they talk, so you are not like having divided attention.
Yeah, gotcha. Just making sure that's what I heard.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so we have 2 more minutes to each 10 minutes.
Okay. I'm done with this. We're still waiting for someone else.
Yeah, we're waiting for Forex.
Okay.
No, I'm ready.
Oh, you good now?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay, great. All right. So, Stephanie, do you want to tell us? Are you surprised at your finding? Do you want to tell us your data?
Okay. So productivity over the years has been like the plant has been more productive each year because the numbers are less and less over the
Okay.
time. At first it was 39, then 37, 36, 35, etc. And then the injuries were also going down, except for year 1991. I think that's the year when there was this death of Dennis Powell.
Yeah.
Overall, both injuries and productivity they've improved. There are less injuries and there's more productivity in the plant. Um, I think that's like the normal outcome if you increase the safety, you can be more productive in the workplace because you'll have more people, more days and more hours at work because they're not injured, they don't have to stay at home, and they can produce more things per hour or per month. So, yeah, I think when you invest in safety, you can get a lot more productivity.
So you're saying that the reason you think productivity goes up is because they invested more in safety, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I think there was an example there where they had to start driving 4 miles, and yeah, that was a little bit troublesome for everyone because they're like, how could we be going like 4 miles? That would be super slow. I think
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna, I think I'm gonna sleep at work, But they saw that by implementing that, what happened was that vehicles are less damaged. There's nobody getting hit anymore. Like the car doesn't hit anybody because all the vehicles are going at a very good speed, and they're able to also improve workers' productivity through that because now they have to save it. They are saving a lot of money on just vehicle maintenance. So it's kind of interesting to see that productivity actually goes up by just basically increasing safety in our plants, and which of course we will have think otherwise, because there's that saying that more sweat, more sweet, but of course it doesn't work that way. Actually, you don't have to die in order to meet up with standard. People can be safe, our workplace can be good, and at the same time we can still be very productive. So thank you very much, Stephanie. um, John, do you want to give us your report?
Yeah, definitely. So pretty consistent across the board that serious injuries reduced from 1987 to 1990. There weren't any that really increased throughout that whole period. There was a couple where they fluctuated a little bit, where they go up and then they kind of go down. But for the most part, they're pretty consistent in their drop across the board. There's still quite a few improper position injuries, but it is showing, a decrease. Yeah, overall, it looks like they're doing a pretty good job of reducing injuries. I mean, I think by taking a firm stance in this situation in particular, it could help further reduce these injuries.
Okay. Thank you. Do you want to give us like some specific injuries that were improving and the other ones that were not just improving at all, or that weren't actually having the same improvements overall?
They all were pretty much improving. Failure to secure is one that didn't drop substantially, but over the last 4 years, the record is still. So failure to secure is one that dropped.
Sorry, I think we can't hear you very well. Or am I the only one having that audio issues?
Really good job for me too.
Can you hear him very well, Stephanie?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, I think I can hear you now.
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for the most part, everything is dropping pretty consistently. The only really are dropping very much is the failure to secure safety issue as well as the improper position. But even with those two, they are noticing a decline over the last 4 years. So overall, it's looking pretty good. I mean, they're all dropping, so that's encouraging.
Okay, great. Thank you for your reports. Okay, do you want to go ahead and give us the last report?
Yeah. So, looking at the different injuries, like 75 or 80% of them all had to do with either foot injuries or injuries because somebody lost their footing. So that's the biggest thing that I know. There's a lot of injuries due to slips, trips, and falls, which they really focus on in my workplace as being the biggest cause. And I guess one thing that it shows about after reading all this, one thing it shows about the company is just the the diverse amount of jobs that are there.
Yeah.
There's people hurting themselves just standing there, getting hit by a forklift, and then there's people getting hit or getting hurt as they're having to reach over something and try and work in an awkward situation. Um, so it really just makes you realize all the different tasks that have to be done at this job site and the ability to be hurt anywhere, anytime.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that is a very important observation that the mission valley, they actually have so much brands that they put out and so much divisions that it's just like almost impossible for them to keep people safe at all time. But we see that the more that they work on safety, the more that the people the workers kind of gets a little bit more aware, except for the problem that are associated with people, which is to me, I think is very difficult to take care of. And so I have this question for everyone. What type of problem do you think is easiest to solve? Is it the problems that are expensive or the ones that involve people's behavior? So why do you think, I mean, make a choice, and why do you think that would be the easiest to solve?
What was the question again?
So, oh yeah, so the question is, which of the problems do you think is easiest to solve? And the options are: one, the expensive problems, and two, the problem that involves people's behavior. Why do you think any of this is easiest to solve?
It's the easiest or the hardest to solve?
Easiest.
Easiest. And so one is expenses and one is people's behavior.
Yeah, one is problems that are expensive, that they are like super expensive, and then the other one are problems that involves people's behavior.
Well, I don't know which one is easiest, but behavior is kind of hard because these are many people that are working many years in the company, and they have gotten used to working in a certain way, and they don't want to change, and they want to keep on doing things their way because probably nothing has happened to them ever. So that's kind of hard. And the money thing, they can probably get the money somehow, but they have to get like a strategy to change the behavior of people, to really convince them to do something differently. It's for their own safety, right? But you really need to on that in order for them to do it.
Yeah, I believe that is very true. Does anyone has any other thing that they want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's way easier to deal with something, even if it's super expensive. They spent $4 million trying to figure out, exactly what went on with that guy's death and trying to remedy that situation.
Yeah.
And the company, um, a lot of people just imagine that everybody above them is always just there for the money and all that. But I've seen a lot of employers that actually care, and they're willing to spend the money to keep you safe. And that's why they try and get a good profit, is so that they have a way to keep their employees safe. So I think it's a lot easier to spend the money than to change somebody's behavior, especially in Alcoa's case, because these are people who've been there forever, and it's kind of hard to teach an old dog new tricks sometimes.
Yeah, that is very true. John, do you have anything to add?
I think they hit on it perfectly.
Yeah, I think you guys hit it right on the head. Like, so of these two problems, which problem do you think Aqua is actually up against? So they have problem with money. Remember, this is a company that is making billions of dollars every year, and they have problem with the people, with the behavior of the people. Which problem are they most against?
To me, it sounds like they're kind of fighting both battles. They're trying to work with stepping, whatever that guy's name is, trying to see if they should fire him. So that's kind of working with the behavioral side.
Mhm.
And seems like they're starting to take more safety precautions with, what was her name, Powell, I think.
Yeah.
She's starting to try and take more safety precautions that do cost money. So it seems like they're focused a little bit more on the money right now, but now they're trying to focus on both sides.
Yeah. Any other suggestion, Stephanie?
Sorry, what?
Oh, do you have any suggestion apart from what Forrest just mentioned? Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I was just checking if you have something to add or say. So
Oh.
yeah, I think the greatest problem they are facing here just had to do with people, because we see that every time they try to come up with some safety measures, because the company is rich, the company have the money, and obviously they are ready to spend it. They just spent whooping $4 million finding out why that other guy died. So the company is ready to spend the money, but then the people are not ready to change their behavior. They are like, oh, see, we've been doing this thing this same way for several years, and you're just coming from nowhere, coming to try to like change our ways of doing things. And if you see in the writing, each time they kind of talked about a worker, they also talked about how long they've been working there. They have years of experience. Some of them have like 23 years of experience, 16 years of experience. So they kind of have a lot of experience. So they've been working there for quite a long time, but they just seems to be resistant to change, which I think is in every human nature. We find it difficult to kind of to follow change. We think, oh, why do we need to change this? We can do this. We can stay in 100 degrees and feel okay without wearing the appropriate clothing. So I think the biggest problem they are having right now, which even hankers with money, is just workers' behavior. The workers are like, this is how we want to do it, and we want it to be this way. So I was gonna ask, so what has Mission Valley done in the past to improve its safety record so much? So from the reading, what can you pinpoint that Mission Valley has done that has helped them to improve their safety so much? Because if we remember, their safety is way better than most companies across the US as at this time. So what did they do differently that make them have a better record?
I think it was a combination of a lot of things. I think the one that we talked about earlier with the speed limit, right? They didn't drive any faster than 4 miles an hour. I mean, it's little things like that to detail. The lockout process.
Yeah.
Like stuff required to do that. And I mean, it's those little things that.
Yeah, that's so true. Any other addition to that? Okay. So I think some of the specific things that they have done in the past, if you check, I think it's in one of the towards the last, it talks about the 8-step process just to eliminate falling at Mission Valley. So they kind of talked about identifying hazardous exposure and determine specific hazard at a given location. Then they prioritize that hazard, and then they determine the root cause of the hazard. I mean, this can be found on page 18 of the reading. And then they just follow this 8 steps process in order to eliminate fall from Mission Valley, which was like one of their biggest problem that they have before. So just as you said, they've been doing a lot of small things, but those small things have been very, very important, for their company and for the growth in their safety measures at large. So let's kind of bring it down to ourselves. So kind of think of when you kind of engaged in something that is not safe, maybe like seat belts, testing while driving, and using a chair instead of using a ladder. And how do you think we can change ourselves? How do you think we can follow procedure? Do you guys follow safety procedure? So just kind of look for an example of times when you kind of forget to follow the safety procedure, or you kind of feel you're like you don't want to follow the safety procedure, or it kind of slipped through your mind. Um, what was the consequence, and how have you improved um, after that incident? So does that question make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm responding to Justin. He just emailed us, so go ahead.
Okay.
I'll
So I sometimes forget about simple things that are safety procedures, like wearing seat belts, because they probably say, okay, I'm going super close from here to there, so I won't wear a seatbelt, or probably text while I'm crossing a street, which I shouldn't. And like, never has something happened to me,
Yeah.
but that's not enough reason not to do it, right? You should do it, like, not because something's gonna happen to you every time, or because someone's looking at you, but just because it's like right and safe to do so. There's a reason why the seatbelts exist, or why they tell you, hey, don't text while driving, or while you're crossing a street, because some people have gotten injured by this. So I think something that would probably help me is, I don't know, more. Well, I'm a very visual person. I don't know how it works for other people, but they could probably implement in the company like ads in some places of the plant that say, "Don't forget to wear your gloves," or "Remember the safety procedures," and list like one, blah blah blah. So they can probably have it in a visual way,
Yeah.
and so they can remember it, because sometimes you just forget, right? And if you have somewhere to see it, you can probably remember easily. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That is very right. Any other contribution?
sorry,
Uh,
still finishing up an email here really quick
oh
to
yeah. No
Justin.
problem. Forex, do you have something to say about that?
Yeah, I know. Today at work, I do maintenance. There's a lot of opportunity to do things unsafe, and I was doing something pretty safe, but not 100%. And I knew that, and I almost hurt myself pretty bad. And the only reason that I did it in an unsafe way is because I was being rushed. We had my boss's boss coming to check on things. We needed to get it done fast, and I was trying to get things done in a hurry, and almost did it, in a way that hurt myself.
Yeah.
So, from their standpoint, you know, it's always a good thing to remind people, hey, um, we need to get it done right. We need to get it done safe, not just the fastest way possible. And my boss is actually really good at that. He always says, take your time. You get paid by the hour. But just today, he was a little bit stressed and kind of rushing. Um, but I can't let that, you know, force me to do something unsafe. So
Yeah.
I think just from their standpoint, making sure that all the supervisors are focused on the safety first, and then the job being done right, and then the speed at which it can be done.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you. That is a nice example. I can remember growing up, I like playing with electricity. Just any random stuff that I could like try and connect to electricity and get it to work, even though it's been dead for several years. And so there was that day I just forgot to unplug my radio while I was working on it, and I must have touched something really, yeah, that I shouldn't have touched, and I got really really shocked. Like I could remember being thrown from my chair to another spot. And so ever since then, I've always remembered that safety regulation. Make sure you switch off all connection and disconnect anything that you want to work upon. And so, so it's just very important for us to follow these basic safety protocols, because it's always there to help us, especially ensure we are safe. I think in the reading, it kind of talked about how long does it take for someone to get hurt. It's just a split of a second, and then a lot could be damaged. You could incur a second-degree burn. You could lose an important function of your body, and it just takes like a split second, like I recently was involved in an accident, and a fatal one, by the way, because, well, it wasn't fatal, but it was a serious one because I totally towed the car. But it was good that I was using my safety belt. So if not for the safety belt, I wonder where I would be, right now. Maybe I would have lost some important function of my body. So it's just always important to follow the safety precautions, and do it right at work. Safety first, always, no matter what we are doing. Um, great discussion. So let's kind of go over Linda's plan for the year 1992. And I think that should be like, we should almost be getting done with our discussion for today. So let's go over the safety plan for 1992. I think that is on page 21. Um, so let's just take like a few minutes to read through the safety plan and kind of think of which one would help the company to achieve its goal. You remember the company is trying to move higher in its performance on safety, and which one won't help the company much. So we are looking for two things. One, which of these safety plan for 1992 will be helpful to the company, and which one wouldn't really be much helpful. So let's just take a few minutes to scan through, and then once you are ready, you can just go ahead and contribute.
Hey guys, I gotta go. So sorry leaving early, but
Okay.
week.
See you, Forrest.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
So I worked at a lumber mill right after when I got home from my mission, when I was transitioning. Coming home from my mission, going down to, and at the things they had there was one of the things that she highlights here, the safety recognition program, where they hand out awards and do a dinner based on performance improvement. That actually worked pretty well for us, as when
I like that one too.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice to have that incentive, because like we talked about, kind of highlighted this. The biggest problem that they face is, the people, right? Changing people's behavior.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you add incentives and awards and recognition and kind of performance-based results there, then it gets everybody on board. It, provides them more incentive to do it, instead of being, the lame person that's keeping the rule and kind of being a two-shoe. You're actually trying to help everyone, work towards this performance goal. That way everybody gets their own and stuff. So I like that one.
Okay. And which one do you think wouldn't really help them much?
Probably publish a bi-weekly newsletter and a safety. Yeah, I don't know how much that will help. I don't know how many people will read that. I probably wouldn't.
Okay. So let's just kind of talk about, what do you think might be missing from the list? If you were the one preparing this list, if you were Linda, what would you add to this list that is not here right now?
There's a lot of like prevention for safety issues that could happen. They can probably train people on how to act when something actually happens. because probably things will happen once in a while, and people should know how to act in those situations to solve it the quickest way possible and avoid bigger problems.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good list. Um, yeah, I really don't have anything to add to it, I don't think.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, in addition to what Stephanie said, since Aqua, like the Mission Valley is pretty much like a community-based employment, so like almost everyone in the community is employed. So that means that their families, their friends, like pretty much everyone in the community has like one or two person working in that working in that company. So I was thinking, I don't know if this would be helpful, but kind of having a kind of community-based campaign to kind of talk with family and let them know that, okay, these are some procedures that are necessary for safety protocol, and we want you to always remind your loved ones as they leave home that remember to follow the safety protocol, because it sometimes take families to be able to convince some people to change their attitude. So like, okay, this is what, so I was thinking of like community-based campaign might actually kind of also help to include, the families of these people, like get everyone on board, not just only the employer. I mean, not just only the employees, but kind of get their family also on board with them. And I was thinking of, they said they should conduct a stage 3 training for all supervisors and lead operators. And, I think any training that they are providing should pretty much involve all employers, because, information chain usually is not always carried down directly. So because we have a big mission, we want to bring everyone on board. We want everyone to know that this is what we are training about. This is what the safety training is all about. So each each employee should be trained also, on safety, not just only through their supervisors, but like at the board level, everyone should be involved in the training. So I thought that would also be something that is pretty important for them to do. And of course, I think they already have it on the list. Incentives. So giving people good incentives might also help them to change their attitude. So before we round up, does anyone has anything that you might want to like point out or talk about before we round up today's meeting?
I think it was good. Nothing else to add.
Yeah, I think we covered all the details.
Okay, great. So from 0 to 10, how would you rate today's meeting?
10.
Great. Great
Yeah,
scale.
yeah, good job. 10. So I also rated 10. You guys great job. um, okay, so and then we're required to ask for how we could improve when next we have such meetings. So how do you think I can improve handling this meeting next time when I do so?
I think you did awesome. I mean, I think it'd be nice if we could have the whole group here together, but for whatever reason, it's hard to get Justin, and I think it's Michael is the other guy, to get them here as well. So
Okay, so yeah, we'll try and send that.
Do you know if I'm the leader next week?
I think we can look that up. Do you want to check the list? I think someone sent out the list the other time.
Yeah, it's
here, I'm gonna stop the broadcast here really quick.
Okay, yeah, let's stop.